Okay, so this video is going to be another one of these notebook videos, and this is going to be about this notebook, which is a black binder right here, and is going to be a more recent notebook. As far as recent, you can see right there, it started in May of 2016. I was a 10th grader then, and this is stuff when I was a 10th and 11th grader. I have made more recent designs of, I guess, inventions and stuff, but those I have yet to catalog. So let's enjoy this book for all of its whatever it is. Okay, first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to build a record player. And don't worry, the designs will get more legible as we go on. But let's start off with this. It was basically just an aluminum square, and it had a record on it, and for its motor, it was actually using one of those cordless screwdriver motors. I actually have one around here somewhere, which I can show you as an example. Obviously, I did modify the motors quite a bit, but it was just something kind of like this. So that would basically go on, and the record would be there, it would spin, and the motor was here, and then a sewing needle would be connected to an earphone, and that would be how the audio would be recorded. I could record it onto cassettes and things when I actually built this, but as you heard before, the drill motor is pretty loud, so that wasn't very good. And here's some more designs. This is how I wanted to do it. I had a lot of trouble leveling the record. It would go up and down a lot. So what I tried to do was using hot glue and a bunch of CDs to lay the record on. But really you have to support the record, which that is, as you can obviously see from the sides, either side right here. And really can't do that because I was only supporting with that area. Moving on from a different time. This is one of the earlier ones that I built, and I actually still have this one, and it actually still works because it's ultra simple. It's a very ghetto lamp, which I made using random junk that I had, which include 2 PVC pipes on either edge, and then with these are actually paintbrush handles for hitting a long paintbrush. I just put those right there. There's a PVC pipe here, and then a light bulb socket from an old garage door opener, which was a plastic light bulb socket, and then there's an LED light bulb, which I kind of did just because I didn't want any problems with heat. I also covered everything in electrical tape, as you would see here. There's a switch. It's actually like the really strong outdoor switches, which has a little lever there. You don't actually touch the switch. And it has a non-grounded plug, as most lamps do. So that was a success story. Speaking of not success stories, let's look at this one. This is an idea for a robot, or not really a robot, more of like a wheeled small vehicle in the shape of a robotic without any real robotic controls. I actually did make this. It actually did work, but it was huge, and it didn't really support a lot of weight. As you can see, it was a big steel frame with, once again, those cordless drill motors on each of the 4 wheels, and it was supported by another thick piece of metal on all those ridges. And it had lawnmower wheels, which I just kind of screwed in there into the drills. The problem was, when I did that, the lawnmower wheels were never really in a straight line, and you're supporting the entire thing by the shaft of the motors, which for this heavy of a thing that you're building, it's not really worth it. And I didn't have a proper motor controller, so I used a relay board, and I've actually tried this several times. You've seen them several times, but whenever I use a relay board, I really need to get good motor controls, because I have to wire them up to the H bridge which I make, and that's kind of unnecessary considering all the other steps I'm doing. It would just go to an Arduino and you could do whatever. Continuing with this, that's just how I would wire the relay board. So I could go forwards, backwards, and whenever there's no power going through the pins, it would stop. More designs for relays. I wanted to limit the amount of relays that I used, so I first tried using 3, then I found a way to use 2, which was making sure that whenever one of the relays was turned on, it would either spin one way or the other way. When both of them were off, it wouldn't be connected to anything. It would be like positive, positive, negative, negative, if it was turned on enough. And I made little, I guess, truth charts with these of how it would turn on. More of these symbols on this edge about that. This was an interesting thing. It's actually an electrolysis machine, which I never ended up actually making it. But the whole idea was that you would get a bunch of PVC pipes together and you could produce hydrogen and oxygen for various experiments which you could do. But I didn't actually do it. So, but I have the idea. Thank you from myself from May of 2016. Your art skills are horrible. They will improve as they do here. This was a very strange idea which I had, was a custom water cooling loop for a PC made with junk, or what is close to junk. So the whole idea was, instead of a radiator, we'd just get a bunch of copper tubing, twist it around 2 pieces of metal, as shown here, and then I would make the cooling blocks using a copper end cap, which is soldered to a big piece of copper. I don't know where I can get a big piece of copper. Any pieces of copper are expensive. There would be a pump here and a reservoir here. There was an idea suggesting if I had to use a submersible pump, I could just put the pump in the reservoir and it may work. I don't know if it would work. I've seen some of these like these on the internet before, not as homemade as these would be, but I don't really know if it's an economical idea, if it were implemented. Speaking of uneconomical ideas, I wanted to build a computer case to go along with my really cool system. It would have 2 PC cases stacked on top of each other. I actually did build this, but the problem was both of them were micro ATX cases and I wanted to fit an ATX board in there. So I just, okay, I'll stack them on top of each other, and I did. It actually did work, but it wasn't, as you would say, very satisfying, because the motherboard kind of dangled off of the edges right here. It didn't go all the way down, it just kind of stopped right there, and I couldn't use the bottom PCI cards anyway, as well as the fact that there wasn't really any place to screw it to without drilling a bunch of aluminum, and whenever I drill holes, they're not very precise, which would not align with the motherboard screws, which is a problem. But I do like the idea of just having 2 power supplies, like really cheap ones, connecting it to a good computer, and it would obviously have my water cooling system, a bunch of DVD drives, and a bunch of hard drives. We could use all the hard drive bays. You could use like the second PCI slots. You could have PCI risers going there, and that would be useful if you wanted to add more cards. Here's something that I did build and I do currently use, is a key start system for my computer. So, in case you haven't noticed, the way computers work is they start using a momentary switch, and you can buy key start switches, which are momentary switches and whatever the opposite of that, I guess just a normal on-off switch, a key switch, but I couldn't get a momentary key switch, so I just got one of these normal ones and connected it in line with the momentary switch. So in effect, it is a momentary switch as the power is going in series. But if these two lines are not connected, you cannot turn on the computer. Only when these two lines are connected can you turn on the computer. Let's actually move the camera to look at that now. As you can see, so right now, you can't turn it on at all. And plug it in here, do that, and you can see it does turn on. But I don't want it to turn on, so it's going to do that. That computer's slow. As another thing to note is when I stack the computers on top of each other, this is actually the top half of it. That's instrumental. Next part is a compute cluster. I've been trying for a while to network a couple of computers together to make multiple computer compute nodes. As you can see, they'll be stacked on top of each other on a piece of PVC rack. Just micro HDX boards, all the same one. They'd be connected to a computer, and I would have what's essentially a Beowulf cluster. That wouldn't really work just because I was trying to do it with empty force. And it's not a very good idea anyway, because I have no idea what I would even use it for. So I could do it now since I have other things. So I guess we're going to close that off for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.